Kia ora. Kia
Oh,
ora koutou.
hello. Hello,
Um,
Rachel.
hi, Steve. We don't, Matt and Bella set this up, but actually we have me, and we should also have Tamara Badley and Monique Behan Kito. And I'm not sure if we've got Pam King, but if those people could be brought up as well, that would be great.
Thank you for that, Rachel.
Kia ora. Kia ora koutou. It's good to see you again. So we're here on behalf of E2. My name is Rachel McIntosh, and I'm joined by our industry councillors who are union delegates and people working in the care and support sector to present to you our submission. And I guess the main point that we want to make is that this is urgent for care and support workers, that we know that the work is undervalued. That's been proved and tested. And I personally was on the assessment panel of the care and support doing that comparison with prison guards and customs workers and fisheries officers. This is urgent. We know the story. We know what the undervaluation is. That work has been done, and it's really urgent for us. And I will actually just now invite Tamara to give you her story. Kia ora, Tamara.
Thank you, Rachel. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Tamara Badley. I'm a home support worker in Hawke's Bay now, but I was in Wellington as well. So my job basically means going into people's houses in the community to enable them to live their best life with whatever conditions they have. It can be anything from simple housework through to colostomy cares, catheter cares, palliative cares, occasionally walking in and finding them dead. In my 26 years of doing this, I've covered all ages. My youngest was 8 months old when I started with him and 4 years old when I moved to Hawke's Bay. And the eldest I looked after was 108 when she passed away, still living in the home she was born in. So there's much I haven't seen or done. I can honestly say I haven't had a back injury at work. I have had a knee injury, but 26 years of it, and I'm still doing it because I enjoy it. It's the variety of people I meet that keeps me doing it. It can be challenging. It can be extremely rewarding. It gives you a little bit more independence and autonomy around your day. But the frustration comes with wear and tear on your vehicles and not actually being reimbursed properly for that. And also when people go into care or pass away and you don't get told, and you find out, when you turn up at their house and the family are there wondering why you're there, or the office, we told you. No, you sent a text or an email that I never received, or you just didn't even bother. We're told time and time again, you are not to have a relationship with this person. But how can you not have some form of relationship when you're washing their bottom? You're helping them get dressed. You're right up next to them. It's a totally different relationship to anything else you'll ever have. And that's where there are some issues, but the main issue is our respect and our pay.
Thanks, Tamara. Monique?
Hi, I'm Monique Behankero and I work in Gisborne. I'm a home support worker and I do the semi-rural run, so I do roughly 500 kilometres a week. This course is not properly funded, unlike fisheries who get vehicles. They travel roughly the same distance that we do. They also get paid to travel at a proper compensation. I look after complex and complicated behaviours. I specialise in stroke rehab and that kind of stuff. As I've been in 15 years in the job, I've been assaulted twice. I've had a few near misses, And being a lone worker, we have less protection than corrections officers, even though we do perform a similar role. I absolutely love my job. It's rewarding. I love going home at the end of the day knowing that I've helped people maintain their independence in their community just by helping them do the basic things like that we all take for granted, like putting on their socks, giving them compassion and treating them like human beings. With the current funding and the pay rates, we're losing staff massively. We're not attracting the younger workers to one of New Zealand's largest growing sectors of employment. If we fixed pay rates and funding models, we would be able to attract younger New Zealanders into these jobs rather than employing people from overseas to come and do the work. It's not that our people don't want to do the job, it's that they don't want to do the job for rubbish pay. The Christine Bartlett case, when that settlement went through, my children were only in their primary years. They were able to do every single sport that they wanted to do that I couldn't afford before that. Under this pay equity legislation that we should have gone through a year ago, we'd signed everything off. We had hit all the milestones. It had been independently reviewed with no problems that we could identify or they could identify. I could have been able to afford my own house. That is my goal as a 42-year-old still trying to buy their first property. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't want to change my career because this is one I fell into and I'm so passionate about, other than my union work. But yeah, it's very disheartening. And I have been seriously thinking of taking a job at McDonald's and getting paid $4 an hour more than what I'm getting paid already. Thanks.
Goodness me. Thank you for the power of your stories, both of you, Tamara and Monique. The storytelling actually makes it very real for us.
Excuse me, sorry, Steve, we've also got Pam King, whose camera's off, so maybe you couldn't see her. I'd also like to just do a round off at the end, if that's okay. Pam.
Lovely. Yep.
You're on mute, love.
Yeah, I'm Pam King from Invercargill. I work in home support. I have done for 30 odd years. I grew up in a house of 5 generations, and we learnt to care for the elderly. Yes, I do a lot of palliative care. I've got a lady at the moment in the hospice. She's only got a couple of days, and I've been looking after her for some time. So it's been a very difficult week. You're just trying to, do the right thing by keeping people in their own homes. It's just heartbreaking to be pay equity to be stolen from us overnight. And what's happening is we can't get the young carers, and I'm supporting carers at the moment, young carers. I've got a couple that have been with us but they've got no qualifications. And what's happening is they're on the lowest scale, and they're on basically after costs, they're below the minimum wage. They get a little bit for travel, but they're saying they can't afford to, go to work. They're looking at other options, which is really heartbreaking. And it's going to load, if there's no carers, it's going to load up our hospital systems.
Yeah.
And be the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff, basically.
What happened after Christine's case in Invercargill, Pam?
Christine's case in 2017, we were able, the carers were able to buy new cars, replace their bombs, and they were able to spend time with their family. They were doing 70, 80-hour weeks. And they were able to reduce their hours back to 40 hours because of the pay increase. And massively put money back into the community. It was just outstanding. You know, I always remember the smiles on everyone's face out there in the community and seeing their kids go to sports and movies and they couldn't afford before. It was just massive. And to be stolen from us last year when we were nearly there, it was just really heartbreaking for the next generation of carers.
The stolen generation. Thank you, Pam.
Yes.
And I think
Can I just quickly round off. So you've heard those stories, they're really moving. I was involved in the assessment process. That was also really moving. And that was done jointly with employers and agreed every step of the way. And we used the assessment tool, Te Oruwaru. And I've also had experience of HEY, and the difference in what is valued under the assessment process that we used was quite stark. It really does uncover invisible skills, and you've just heard some of them, and you've also heard how it transforms lives. And that's why it's urgent. It's really urgent that this gets fixed and that it's not held up. That's the priority for us as a union. Kia ora.
Thank you, Rachel. Very moving, and I'm sure there are questions, especially about process, about being able to put your claim back. Right, Ria.
Kia ora, Rachel, Monique, Tamara and Pam. Thank you very much for your commitment to this cause and coming on to the People Select Committee today. I want to pick up on, I think it might have been either Monique, or Tamara and also Pam. One of you said that over the last 12 months or longer, you've been working and preparing for your equity claim to go forth and everything was shaping up really well. And then the next minute it was stolen away from you overnight, but you'd continued in a timeline of preparing this. So do you feel like other SMNRs have said to us, they feel like they were duped? They feel like that the government was still saying, come to our table. And in the meantime, we subsequently now know that this action had some premeditated, pre-budget outcome to stripping away the 33 claims.
Can I answer that? Yes, totally feel duped. The claims were laid on the 1st of July 2022, so it was under the previous Labour government. It was the first day that we officially could claim it after the Christine Bartlett settlement expired. Mm-hmm. And all the way through, there'd been delays and hiccups, and we were told to follow the process. One Minister of Health actually asked us if we could actually speed the process up. I don't know how we're supposed to do it when it's their guidelines. And then we had the change of government and were told that it had all been costed and it was all still there and it would keep going and to follow the process and there'd be an announcement. And then to get the announcement on the 6th of May by Brooke Van Velden where they were scrapping all 33 claims, it made me feel totally destroyed and wonder whether or not the work we'd done for the 1,039 days before that was actually worth it, because once again, we're the bottom of the pile and we're the ones that it's easiest to take from, is how it felt. And we did challenge Brooke and her colleagues to come to work with us for a day or a week in the different regions, seeing what we do, meeting the people we support, and her response was, no, it won't be worthwhile, which made me feel as though the job I do is not actually respected, and it's certainly not understood.
Thank you, Tamara. And thank you all. It's certainly respected by every member of this committee. I think your story of process right up until settlement is astonishing. Jackie.
Yes, thank you. Very powerful stories. It is absolutely urgent. I just wanted to ask, have each of you asked your local member of parliament to spend a day or half a day with you to see what you actually do? And what has their response been?
Yes.
My local MP lives 2 doors down from me. She's currently on maternity leave and she doesn't want to know me.
Oh.
I've approached her 4 times. The other local MP for Hastings has told me she'll meet with me, but so far I've had roadblocks from her PA in setting up a meeting.
I have also approached Dana Kirkpatrick. She has agreed to go to, she agreed over a year ago to go for a work in the day of the life of an IDEA services worker. And that went absolutely nowhere. We've still got to keep applying the pressure on her to come to work. And we've even got the area manager signed off. It's just all waiting up on the MP now.
Mm. Well, disappointing.
We approached Penny Simmons. After 6 months, she had a wee meeting with us. Cancelled it the night before we were to meet, but we managed to get her to reschedule another meeting after 6 months. She refused to come out to work. She says she knew what we do. She knows what we do out there.
Mm. Just your submissions are very similar to the presentation from Grey Power. Might be good to activate Grey Power in your regions too, but I know how tired you all are.
We work with Grey Power.
Yeah.
Especially Mr. Duncan. I wouldn't be here without him.
Great. Lynn, last question, Lynn.
Thank you. And I loved, it really moved me, the examples you gave about the effect on your children being able to participate more in the things that they really wanted to do. And it does reinforce the argument that we've heard quite a bit, that the money, the increase in the money that you get goes straight back into spending in the local economy. And just wondered, is that your experience with your colleagues as well? Right down to probably a little bit more of a treat when you go to the supermarket and things like that.
Yes, I'll take Pam's example. In Invercargill, when the Christine Bartlett case came in, Pam was able to go and buy herself a new car, and that month, 40 of her co-workers ended up buying new cars from that same car yard. It is the best month that car yard ever had.
Wow, that's incredible.
Thank you, Lynn.
I had a colleague that was able to give up a second job and be able to cut back on her weekend work to spend time with her grandchildren.
I'll allow a last question from Ria.
My question's to Pam. So I live in Invercargill as well, Pam, and I was wondering if at all, since our MP hasn't come and shared some time in the day of your life, if you'd be prepared to allow me to do that.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah, I can organise that.
We'll make contact.
I have met you a couple of times, Ria.
Yes.
Yeah, for that. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you collectively.
Quick comments, please. I suggested this to our first submitters that you could take the excerpt of your presentation and send it to your MP and challenge them to actually listen to it and respond accordingly.
Not cheerful about the pay equity stuff though, that's for sure. Yeah. One of very many, a very large group of very angry people. And I really appreciate the chance to present in front of you guys and the fact that you guys have actually organised yourselves into a group with huge potential and clout. Yeah. So I'm not going to read off my submission because my written submission went to you guys and it doesn't seem to be anywhere else apart from the ether. But the first thing I want to say is we have to stop this current government getting away with the dialogue they used and probably still use to say they saved $12 billion, right? It was not a saving. It was money that had already been put aside with an intention to be used to settle the existing pay equity claims, right? If Joe Bloggs saves money, they often save it for a specific purpose, like it might be in your rent account or your power account. If you use your rent account to pay your power account, you're likely to get evicted. If you use your power account to pay your rent account, you're likely to have no power.
Yeah.
What we'd like is for both of those to be invoked against this government and have no house and no power. And that would be a great solution. But the media seem to let this government away with that we've saved $12 billion. And I don't like that. And I would really like that to change. But the other things that are really important is the way they've set up this act, right? It's got to, for example, if you are able to complete a claim, you're not allowed to have any mechanism to review the amount for 10 years. And the way inflation happens in this country, even if it is kept to 2 or 3%, that's still a huge gap at the end of 10 years' time. And in fact, that's what support workers were faced with the John Key settlement, which we probably should never have taken. But who's going to turn down a settlement that offers that much of a rate? But it was certainly never a full pay equity settlement, and acknowledged that it was never a full pay equity settlement. But what it did do was limit us to being promoted over our wages being increased over 3 steps over 5 years. And basically they were designed to keep us in line with, well, let's just use healthcare assistance as an example. They were designed to keep us in line with them. And by the time 2022 came around, to keep in line with them, we needed basically a $10 an hour wage increase, and their wages went up just not long after that. Yeah, so that's how far behind you can fall in a short period of time, and we should never have taken a settlement that it cost us 5 years to get it there. Now, one thing about that settlement, it precluded us from taking another pay equity claim in the intervening period until that act expired, right? So I'm an E2 member, and just what it meant for us is we spent a year lobbying with the Ministry of Health, who weren't really interested in talking to us. The Minister of Health told them in about 2021 to start talking to us, right? So they had a series of meetings that lasted about 6 months, and then said, we can't do anything for you. You need to do this. So we couldn't, it was to proceed with a new pay equity claim, right? So we couldn't proceed with that until July 22, right? We filed for a claim first thing that morning, basically, and set out, with the help of the then Pay Equity Commission, set out to proceed that claim, to forward that claim, and did so with probably record time. Now, the pay equity claims have milestones. That pay equity process had milestones that had to be completed and agreed with at each step of the way. And it was agreed with the State Services Commission, the interested ministries, the interested employers, and the interested unions. We met each one of those milestones, right? Just about ready to proceed to pay equity. And some officials of the Ministry of Health disagreed with the way the claim was measuring pay equity, right? So they proceeded to actually put in place, or they paid for a review. They probably paid big money for a review that was about 54 pages long, which I've read twice, cover to cover, which is one of the most futile experiences of my life, because it basically said nothing. And in fact, the only thing it really said about pay equity was the claim may or may not be undervalued, but we can't tell. This is a report that they commissioned while they held up the pay equity process, right? And the other thing it said, in about more places than it said that, was that we acknowledge that the current support workers' income structure is way out of line and needs urgently addressed. What concerns me about the inability to address it now is, one, that we can't proceed with the pay equity under the new Act for 2 reasons. One, we couldn't do so till 2017. And 2, if we did try to do it, we can't find a sector in our industry that's male dominated to compare it against. Sorry, you're on mute, Steve.
Look, I'm sure there's some people wanting to ask you questions. You've talked about the lag never caught up.
Yeah,
You're right, and process has been a hurdle.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Meriden is dying to ask you a question, Gordon.
right.
Meriden. You're on mute, Meriden.
I could answer that question though.
I bet you could. You're on mute.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. Sorry. Gordon, thank you very much. And I think one of the really important things for me about your submission is its consistency with the submission from Tracy Martin
Yeah.
from the Aged Care Association. I don't know if you had the opportunity to hear her or to look at it, but she talks about the parties were engaged in good faith discussions and the time, effort and resources put into progressing claims was very intensive. And then they talk about working groups being kept in a holding pattern with repeated excuses. So I just really wanted to thank you because it's very useful for us when we get the bridge, when the people from the employer and the union side are telling us exactly the same story. So I just really want to reflect that back to you and thank you very much for taking the time to do this for us.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to what we're saying and getting this format together for it. Two things I'd like to point is one of my fears is, and I'm sure Tracy shares this fear, is that we're not going to attract people to this industry, to these industries. There is no career path at the moment. There's no reliable education and training in it. And I'm sorry that my cockatiel thinks it's time to compete with me. But yeah, and I don't see where the next influx is going to be for our ageing population, of which I am certainly a part.
And those pressures are growing.
Yeah,
thank you,
for
Gordon,
sure.
and thanks for taking the time and your caring in that sector. It is really worrying, but it's very consistent, as Dame Marilyn said. So thank you for that.
And I also find it interesting, as Marilyn pointed out, that it's very unusual for the unions and the employers to be on the same side.
Yeah.
They would actually come out more vehemently, but was a rumour flying the rounds that National were going to, before they ditched pay equity totally, we're going to actually say we'll partially fund it, and that would have sent some employers into deep spasms. Yeah.
Thank you, Gordon.
Our next submitter is E2 staff from Longview Home. I believe they are ready. Who's here for us?
Hello.
Winnie, welcome. Welcome.
Hello.
And I think there's a number of you, Alexis, Vicky, Ashley, who work at Longview, who are going to make a presentation for us this morning. We're very grateful you're taking out the time to do this with us. I hope to goodness you didn't have to take leave to do this for us.
No.
So welcome, and please go ahead to talk with us. We have 10 to 15 minutes.
Awesome, thank you. Kia ora and Malai Lele committees. My name is Winnie Mamalai and I'm one of the campaign organisers here at E2 Union. The aged care workers is primarily workers who provides essential caring services to enhance clients' wellbeing, quality of life and dignity. Before becoming an organiser, I was a caregiver for over 5 years. I lost my partner to cancer in 2020. during COVID, but I didn't have time to grieve with my son because I was working 14-hour shifts, 7 days a week, just so I can make enough money to pay for my mortgage and make ends meet. Last year was the first year out of the aged care sector, and it was also the first year I spent Christmas with my kids for the first time. I have 3 member leaders here who works in the aged care sectors and will now be sharing their stories. I'd like to introduce Alexa Stanley.
Hi there, good morning to our ladies on the People Select Committee. Good morning. I come to you as a healthcare assistant with over 20 years of experience, predominantly within a level 3 dementia unit, where I've cared for up to 21 residents at a time, all presenting with their own complex needs and very challenging behaviours. My submission today is made in support of strengthening and protecting pay equity for all healthcare assistants and to highlight the realities of the work that we do, the immense value we provide and the personal toll it takes when we are not properly recognised. As a healthcare assistant, we bring with us a deep and broad knowledge of thousands of health conditions, and their interactions and critical risk factors that can mean the difference between escalation and prevention. I have personally witnessed how this knowledge has saved lives through recognizing early warning signs, preventing medical crises, and ensuring residents receive timely and appropriate interventions. These skills are not unskilled labor, but are essential frontline healthcare competencies that require experience, critical thinking, and ongoing vigilance. The physical demands of our role are extreme. On a daily basis, we are responsible for safely transferring immobile residents, often weighing more than 100 kilograms, from their beds to the toilets to chairs multiple times a day. This repetitive, high-risk manual handling has caused countless healthcare assistants, including myself and my colleagues, life-changing injuries. Despite adhering to safe moving protocols, the toll on our bodies is undeniable. My own journey in healthcare began quite young. I worked throughout all 3 of my pregnancies, often over time, while trying to support my own little family. Prior to the historic pay equity case that was won through the tireless efforts of Christine Bartlett and many others, I worked up to 13, 14 shifts a fortnight just to keep my head above water with the bills, rent, utilities, etc. And that was often at full term. I was able to focus, but a short time after that victory, I was able to focus on my children, able to provide extracurricular activities, to present as a mother, to be present as a mother, instead of constantly exhausted and financially strained. But with the government now moving backwards on pay equity, that small measure of fairness we gained is at risk of being stripped away. Working in aged care means giving all that we have and all that you are to some of the most vulnerable members of our society. It means every day, even in the face of physical and verbal abuse, because those residents depend on you. But when you are not valued, not respected, and not paid your worth, the strain becomes unbearable. I love my work. I love the residents that I care for, and many of my fellow women in healthcare feel the same. We give our hearts, we give our strength, we give our skills. But I must ask, when will this government finally recognise the extraordinary contributions of healthcare assistants? When will we be acknowledged as professionals we are, and that when will our pay reflect the true value of the essential work we do? Pay equity is not just a matter of fairness from dominated industries like aged care. It's a matter of justice. It's a matter of dignity and sustainability for the entire healthcare system. Without it, our workforce will continue to be undervalued and driven away, leaving the most vulnerable members of our society at risk. So I do urge our committee to please help to uphold and protect the pay equity for all healthcare in the healthcare system, and to ensure that our voices are heard. Thank you.
Kia ora, thank you. Ashley.
Good morning, committee. My name is Ashley and I'm here as one of thousands of aged care workers who have been affected by this change to pay equity. I'm a young mother with a 2-year-old and I have worked as a level 4 caregiver for over 10 years, mostly with hospital level aged care, providing care to people at their lowest or sickest and making their last years or weeks on earth as enjoyable and fun as I can. We become the eyes and ears for some of these residents and become their families when their own are no longer around. I have been present for some residents who are in their last moments, some being peaceful deaths and others being far from it. I work in hospital level aged care. It comes with a vast range of complex health issues, from physical issues like strokes, MS, ALS, and others, as well as others like mental health issues or dementia. Most of these cross over with each other. These issues need on-the-spot thinking at times, when residents have sudden changes in their normal selves. Are these changes because of their condition, or is it an infection, or have they started on the end of life pathway? I have had a resident swing a large pair of fabric scissors at me who had dementia. This behaviour was because of a sudden change. They went from an easygoing, happy person who had never been violent in their lives to this. This change was because they had started on the end of life pathway. This situation required quick thinking to de-escalate and disarm the resident to keep both of us safe. These quick thinking skills cannot be taught in a 2-week orientation to someone who is new and never experienced the complex and rapidly changing conditions. This leaves the inexperienced staff in danger and they end up leaving very soon after or asked to move to work in a different area. We get verbal abuse from residents and their family members because their loved ones' needs aren't being met in a timely manner. As we have been busy with a fall, helping give medication to another resident who is actively dying, and we're supporting their family through what is happening as their resident is in their final moments, and are trying to keep the bell times to the recommended time frame of within 5 minutes and no longer than 10. In the last 18 months, I have been part of 2 restructures at my current workplace. At this point in time, I am going through my second one and do not know if I will have enough hours of work to pay my bills or a job by the end of this year. With ongoing restructures, my role as a level 4 caregiver has had a substantial increase to the workload, and my pay does not reflect all the additional responsibilities and stress. With many restructures happening across the country and whole industry, this has created a huge issue with job stability. These jobs are no longer looked at as full-time careers anymore. With all the changes like job cuts and companies no longer wanting level 4 caregivers, it makes it hard to find another job in the industry. With the continual changes to shift times and days, it's making getting childcare harder. And I do not want to miss out on seeing my child grow up. I have seen the positive changes that came when we got pay equity in 2017. We had staff who could save up and buy their first home, get a better car, or go on that long-awaited holiday. It gave people a sense of pride to get more education to achieve their levels.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vicky. Thank you, Ashley. I'm a level 4 caregiver and a migrant worker. And I speak not just for myself, but for many who share this journey in the aged care. I want this committee to see the real work that happens every day, not just for us, but for the residents who cannot speak for themselves. Here's what I do at my work. Being a caregiver, I monitor vital signs to catch early signs of strokes, diabetics, and also heart attacks. I administer controlled drug medications. I manage the feeding for the residents, and I do treat wound care to the residents. I use restraints only as a last resort, respecting the dignity of people living with dementia. And also, my facility is a restraint-free facility. I reposition residents every 2 hours to prevent pressure injury source for them. I manage continence care for them, and I safely lift people over 100 to 120 kilograms, sometimes with the hoist, sometimes while being physically or verbally abused by a dementia resident. I am trained in with 15 plus clinical competencies. nursing level life-saving skills, but the system treats us as if this expertise has no value. If I leave for a warehouse job, I earn about the same, with no liability, no emotional drama, and no life hanging in the balance. But where does that leave our residents? When experienced caregivers leave, who teaches the next ones? I spend months mentoring new staff only to see them walk away with less stressful work that pays the same. We are losing clinical expertise and the residents are paying the price. Sometimes after 1 p.m., after the recent restructuring from my employer, it's just two of the staff for 25 residents on a hospital level wing where when a resident has a fall, when another one has low blood sugar and another one can't breathe, I have to try it like an emergency nurse, but I'm paid as if I'm just helping with getting them dressed for the day. I am part of a critical workforce. 45% of caregivers in our sector are on visas as of 2023 data. We are afraid to speak up about unsafe staffing because our residency depends on our employer. This silence is dangerous for us and for the people who we care for. This is not just about wages we're talking about. It's about what residents lose when we are treated like shelf packers instead of healthcare professionals. It's about dignity, safety, and lives. It's about we as caregivers who are preventing the residents from all those hospital admissions, not through the equipments, but through skilled and all those personal attentive cares to them. Experienced caregivers are the frontline defense against harm. But we can't stay when we are undervalued. Fair pay is not charity, it's recognition that care work is health care work, complex, skilled, and essential. If this continues, residents will face preventable injuries, untreated pain, and loss of dignity. They will pay the price with their safety and their well being, and sometimes with their lives, despite them paying more and more to the aged care providers month on month. Please recognize the value, honor the expertise, support the caregivers, because when we are seen, respected, and retained, everyone benefits. The committee now has the chance to end this undervaluation for our residents and for all of our New Zealand's most vulnerable. Choose dignity, choose safety, choose care, because real change, not just words, but action. This is the story, these are the facts, and this is the choice. Thank you.
Kia ora, thank you. Each of you and each of your presentations this morning has given us a great deal more than your original written submission. And so I'm going to ask you, Winnie, if you could possibly collect what we've been told this morning from each person and send it to us. It's extremely helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes?
We're now open for questions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Lynn.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all the work you've done. I'm sure everyone on the committee knows firsthand through relatives how important your work is, and believe me, we know your skill, we know your value, and we all think the world of you. So thank you for that. But I'm going to ask a bit of a personal question, and if you don't feel comfortable answering it, that's absolutely fine. But I just wonder, in terms of your the work that you do and which you've told us so clearly, the pay that you get, do you find it quite a struggle to even maintain your KiwiSaver payments looking for the future? I mean, it probably comes out of your wages, but is that even quite difficult for you when you're trying to make ends meet?
Yes, definitely. When KiwiSaver was first initially introduced, I actually did not opt in for many, many years. It wasn't until, personally, it wasn't until I had to start thinking about retirement and not just that, but having something to at least pass down to my children. But I've had to actually put that on hold. So I think I've only had KiwiSaver personally for a total of 3 to 4 years. And I had to opt out of it. It was just becoming too much, especially living paycheck to paycheck.
Thank you, Alexis. Anybody else?
Can I just say, Alexis, thank you so much for that, because that's been something that has been concerning me. We often talk about how little the contribution is over the years because of the low pay, but you've, by being so honest, have said directly, you know, how impossible it is sometimes even to maintain your KiwiSaver contributions, and that's absolutely tragic.
Thank you. Ria.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Ashley, Alexis and Vicky, giving us your real life stories in a profession that you clearly are very, very passionate about and love what you do. It's unfortunate that you're not being rewarded in terms of pay for what it is exactly that you do with your high school levels. So I appreciate your stories. I wanted to pick up on you, Vicky, when you mentioned that you are a skilled migrant in a job and you gave us a skills rundown of what you do. But you mentioned the fact that you rely on your residency through your employers. Have you spoken to other skilled migrants, and is there a general fear that because the care and support sector is very hard to work within and low wages, that there would be a consideration to change employers or move out of the sector? And if so, are you being, what's the word I'm trying to find? Are you being deliberately squashed for talking out negatively about it?
Thanks, Ria. Yes, I know many migrant caregivers who are scared to speak up about unsafe staffing or pay, because literally, and it's true that our visas depends on our employer. Some have even left the sector for better pay and job security. And yes, there's a real fear of being punished or losing our jobs if we raise concerns. Because we're on accredited employer work visas, many of us avoid raising health and safety issues. We skip union activities or changing employers because we fear visa jeopardy. So serious risks go unreported. Okay. Yes, and many of us we feel like we can't raise concerns because our visa and pathway to residency rely on the employer. So even using internal reporting or union routes, people are feeling that risk, fewer shifts they are getting with the roster changes or with the contracts not being renewed by the employer. All these are withheld. So the protection for migrant whistleblowers, if they say, or portability between accredited employees is critical. And even using those internal reporting feels risky because I'm seeing it in front of my eyes. I'm an A2 delegate, so I'm trying to give them support. I'm being a migrant, giving them a support that it is legal. We are backed by the unions. So issues get buried until there's a harm. A safe visa independent whistleblowing channel, or protections are very urgently needed for migrant healthcare assistance. And yes, even using all those internal reportings or those union channels feels risky when hours can be cut or contracts are not renewed after speaking up. There is a real step back from migrants. There is that fear. We need explicit protections for migrant workers and easy visa portability between accredited employees, so workers can change jobs without jeopardizing residency. Without that, serious risks go unreported and resident safety is suffering.
You're a Vicky. That's a very important contribution to our work. It's one thing to read it on the page. It's another to have somebody who's living it come and tell us about that. This has been a very important group of submissions. Alexis, Winnie, Vicky, Ashley, thank you very much for speaking on behalf of one of the most vulnerable groups that are hit by this change in the law. And yours has been a very constructive addition to our work. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Marilyn.
Madam. And all these changes do protect residents by making it safe for us to report all those risks. I would
Yeah,
say. Thanks.
totally. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.